number one reason you're stuck and can't get unstuck, and how you can solve that problem. What's up, guys? Jeff here from Great City Fitness and Performance. Today we're talking about the simple aspect of being stuck in your goals. We've all had goals that we want to achieve. We've all had things that are further away from where we're currently at that we want to move in the direction of. But the problem for all of us is one word. And that one word? Familiarity. Okay? Familiarity is the problem, or the root problem, for almost everything that's holding you back. Let me explain. First off, the reason that it's such a problem is because, let me take a step back. The way to solve this single problem is through guidance. Guidance, or as I like to call it, a Sherpa, a coach, a mentor, a teacher. Okay, that's how you get out of this familiarity problem. Okay, so let me backtrack again and tell you why this is the main problem and why this is keeping you stuck. Imagine you've been working in your job for 10 years, okay? Now you've lived in the same place for 10 years as well. You've lived in the same place and worked in the same place for 10 years. Due to this, you've taken the exact same route to work every single day. Now, you've done this for 10 years. Basically, imagine you do this 5 times a week, 52 weeks. You know, that's 200 days right there, times 10 years. That's 2,000 experiences at minimum that you've driven to and from work on this exact same path. Now, probably after like 30 experiences of this, you became familiar with it. You started to know where the markers were, where cops might have been sitting, where traffic jams might have started to take place. You might know, like, hey, the 7-Eleven's on this corner, and if I go a little bit further, the gas station's here. This is all from familiarity, which is a good thing in many cases. Okay? Familiarity helps us adapt, understand, and make easy the things that we're doing. But familiarity is also the reason why we can't move into our new area of achievement. Okay? So again, we drive the same route, and we have so many experiences of doing this action, which builds our familiarity around it. But now, it's 10 years, we've done the same track 2,000 times, and all of a sudden, a section of the drive that we normally take is closed, okay? Maybe it was a bridge that crossed over whatever it might have been, a river, right? It crossed over a river, and that bridge is no longer able to be utilized. And because it's no longer able to be utilized, you no longer can take that exact same path. Because you can no longer take that exact same path that you've taken 2,000 times and never diverted off of it, it's almost impossible for you to naturally be like, oh shit, I know where I'm gonna go. I know how to get there. I don't have to worry about that bridge. I'm gonna go this way. No, you can't, because in many, many cases, you didn't know all the other ways. You were familiar with one, not the other stuff. Because you now have that one roadblock that diverts you, you no longer know how to get where you need to go. And that's what is the problem for most of us. The familiarity is what is killing us or holding us back, because we've gotten into a certain track, a certain direction, a certain path. And that path has taken us to exactly where we are. But now where we are is no longer where we want to be. We want to go somewhere else, or we want to get to that end destination. But the destination is no longer accessible by the ways that we previously understood. Now we must figure out a new way. If we were in the map situation, you would have resorted to the fastest and quickest resource, which is probably your cell phone. You would have taken your cell phone out, typed in where you wanted to go, looked at the map, and probably followed GPS or navigation or TomTom or whatever navigation support system you have. And this would have happened even though, again, you've went to work, or you've lived in the same place and you've went to the same place for 10 years, because you didn't understand the new direction you must take due to the closure. Now, the closure in the problem of our life is the problem of having to figure out how to overcome this new gap. That gap being the bridge that's no longer there. I no longer understand how to make my direction. Due to this, we must get guidance. Guidance either from our navigation system, guidance from our TomToms, guidance from a friend via phone support, or if it was anything else, you're getting guidance via, like if you're climbing Mount Everest, you're gonna have a Sherpa. That Sherpa is going to help you by telling you which way to walk, what rocks to step on, what things to avoid while navigating in the direction of the climb. So because our problem is familiarity, we must have someone that knows how to overcome the current problem we have. Otherwise, you are going to constantly be running into the exact same problem until you learn how to navigate around the closed bridge. Okay? Now, again, unless you have all the resources and want to commit to understanding, learning, navigating, writing out the new map system, the easiest way is to get help and support. Now, help and support comes because you ask for it and say, I'm here, I want to go here, and they help you map that out. But again, if you've never been to where you now want to go, it's going to be nearly impossible for you to self-navigate because you're familiar with only one path. And to get to the new destination or get to the destination by a new route, we must change the path. And by changing the path, we change our familiarity. Due to that, it becomes something we have to work for. Work for meaning actively think about, actively participate in. It's no longer autopilot to work. It's no longer autopilot through our lives. So if you're having a hard time improving your nutrition, realize it's because you're familiar with what you're doing and doing what you're familiar with. That is not going to get you a new result. It's going to get you the same exact result because change requires change. And to change, you must change the direction. You must no longer do what was always familiar, but what is now a little bit challenging. And until you've built enough momentum there, basically time and experience, you will continue to have resistance. But the one tip that I always recommend everybody when they first start training with us, when they first start anything, put as many experiences as quickly as possible right away. Because an old habit technique is that it takes 21 days to build a habit. It takes 42 to really ingrain it, and it takes 66 to make it autonomous, basically easy, okay? Now, the first 21 days is a struggle. It takes work. You're no longer familiar with the process, so everything takes mental energy, okay? I'm gonna take a one step back real quick. I just started BJJ. I understand physical fitness because I've been training people for 12 years, half my life. I understand the body and how it moves in sport. But starting BJJ, I've never done that. And due to it, I'm a complete beginner. And because I'm a complete beginner, the simple things such as a sprawl, which is basically like a way of avoiding attack or a way of guarding a choke, I have no idea of. So when I get in these positions, my mind is mentally running at all times to try and figure out how to make it work. However, in 2, 3, 4 weeks, when I've built my experiences up, guess what? I'm gonna be familiar with the drills, skills, and tactics. And then I'm going to be utilizing them very easy. Much like how I'm driving and talking, right? I'm able to do it without really putting a lot of thought. I don't have to think about the car that's gonna be passing me because I've driven enough to know how to do it. But when you don't have the familiarity with it, it becomes a big problem because it takes work here. But when you put the work in, you become familiar. And then you're no longer doing things that are familiar that no longer lead you down the wrong path. You're doing things that are familiar that lead you down the right path. The ones that grow you and move you in the right direction. But again, the big problem here is your sticking spot currently. And that sticky spot is simple. You're too familiar with what you're doing. And because you're familiar with what you're doing, you're not changing what you're doing to get a new result. It's that simple. If you want a new result, you must do a new thing. If you want change, you must change. And to do that, you cannot do what's familiar or comfort. You must move and adapt and get a new navigation to go around that familiarity and build the new familiar path. Once you've gotten that, your success is right in front of you and easy to grab. It's no longer on the other side of the bridge that you no longer know how to navigate around because you've learned new familiar tactics and tricks to get to that destination instead of being stuck in your familiar path you're currently on that will not lead you to your end destination.